Hello everyone, welcome back to Baji Rao IAS Academy. See, till yesterday we have discussed General Studies Paper 1 and Paper 2 of Mains 2023 examination. Now we will discuss General Studies Paper 3 in this session. Okay, so General Studies Paper 3 generally UPSC has been awarding lesser marks. So you have to write data statistics along with the points so that you will get extra marks than the other candidates, right? So you have to support your arguments with enough data. So that is the essence of scoring more marks in the economics paper. So the first 10 marks question that was asked in my general studies paper 3 was: the faster economic growth requires increased share of manufacturing sector in GDP, so particularly of MSMEs. To comment on the present policies of the government in this regard. Now, see, so this question has two parts. The first part, we need to write the manufacturing sector contribution to India's GDP. That is the first part. And in the second part, we need to comment on the present policies. What are the various policies taken by the government in this regard to further boost the manufacturing sector or to further give a fillip to the MSME sector. Now, in this regard, it would be better if you start this answer by writing some data on the contribution of the MSME sector to Indian economy. So, what exactly its contribution? How much of GDP MSME has been contributing, and how much of employment it has been contributing, and how much of exports are primarily from the MSME sector. Now, this way you can create a more impactful introduction. First you write this introduction, and after writing this introduction, now how a faster economic growth requires an increased share of manufacturing, particularly from the MSME sector. So you just have to justify the statement. After justifying it with adequate points and data, and then you have to write the second part of the answer. Now, as I have discussed in the first part, you just mentioned that MSMEs are engines of growth. So no doubt about that, they are actually engines of the growth. So we can conclude this. We can come to the understanding that MSMEs are really the engines of the growth by looking at the overall contribution of the India's MSME sector in terms of GDP, in terms of employment and exports, right? If you look at MSME's contribution to India's GDP, MSMEs have been contributing closely 30 percentage of country's GDP. Okay, 30 percentage of country's GDP. So it is huge. When you compare this with the agriculture sector, it is only contributing around 18 percentage of GDP. So therefore, you can understand the importance of the MSME sector. Now, not just contributing to the country's GDP, but it is also contributing to 40 percentage of India's exports. Around 40 percentage of total exports are from the MSME sector. And secondly, when it comes to the manufacturing, the overall manufacturing is 45% is alone contributed by the MSME sector, and after that 110 million employment is being created by the MSME sector at various levels, even in rural areas. For example, high tech industries, so they cannot be established in rural areas because they require infrastructure, they require seamless connectivity. On the other hand, MSMEs can be easily established even in rural areas and urban areas as well. So, therefore, they are promoting equitable and inclusive growth throughout the country. Now, in this respect, we need to also understand the point that it is the second largest employer after the agriculture sector. We all know that around 45 to 50 percentage of India's workforce dependent alone on agriculture, right? So after agriculture, MSME sector alone contributing to the largest share of employment. Now, the first part of the answer is that the connection between the faster economic growth and manufacturing MSMEs. Now, MSME is a part of manufacturing sector, and how increasing share in manufacturing sector and how the revival of the MSMEs actually impact the economic growth. Now we need to understand this connection. So the first point here is employment generation. So we have understood that MSME sector has been already creating 110 million employment. Okay, 110 million employment, because it is a labor intensive sector, the huge employment generation capacity. Okay, so since enterprises, so they're falling in this sector, they require a very low capital. Okay, so in order to start a business, so they require a very low capital. I mean, they are not a capital intensive industries, so they require less capital to start a business. So therefore it actually creates a huge employment opportunities to the unemployed youth. So as per the Center for Monitoring of Indian Economy, the unemployment rate in India is around 8.2 percentage. So therefore there has been an increasing unemployment rates in the economy, and the MSME sector can rightly play a crucial role in providing employment to the unemployed youth. And secondly, it also ensures economic stability in terms of growth and leveraging the exports. Now, as per data, India has reached total exports of 770 billion. Okay, so India has also aimed to reach 2 trillion. Okay, India also aimed to reach 2 trillion in exports by 2030. So therefore India has several ambitious plans. In order to meet these ambitious plans, the MSME sector can rightly play a very crucial role, whether it is about reaching the $5 trillion economy goal, and whether it is about making uh, India achieve the 2 trillion economy by 2030, could be possible by the MSME sector. Now after that, MSME sector also reduces regional imbalances. How? Because MSME sectors are not just located in the urban areas or metropolitan cities. So MSMEs can also be established in remote backward areas and rural areas. And because since they are more resilient, and they are decentralized in nature, they could reduce the existing regional imbalances. In India, one of the major problem is high regional imbalances. Now these MSMEs could rightly play a very crucial role in reducing these regional imbalances, because it facilitates industrialization in rural and backward areas. So when there is an industrialization, it could reduce the regional imbalances. So therefore overall it contributes to more equitable and inclusive development and growth in all the areas, even in the rural areas. Right. So after that, so they also act as a complementary to the large industries as ancillary units. Now, large industries alone would not be sufficient for any economy. We require raw materials for the large industries, and MSMEs could supply those raw materials for these large industries. For example, imagine an automobile industry, Maruti Suzuki or Hero Motocorp. So these automobile industries also require products like clutches, brakes, and other products. So MSMEs could rightly supply those products to these large automobile companies. So therefore, MSMEs could also act as a complementary. Okay, so they can also act as a complementary to large industries, and that is very important. You cannot simply focus on large industries and neglect MSMEs. Okay, so for a balanced and a faster economic growth, we require both MSMEs and also large scale industries. Now, after that, MSMEs have also facilitate large scale innovation. Okay, for example, whenever there are a new entrepreneurs or budding entrepreneurs, so they come into the MSME sector with some sort of innovation, right? So when innovation has been increasing, it automatically boosts the competition in the existing business, and it will fuel the growth. Now, in any economy, competition is very important. because with a healthy competition, the prices, the quality improves, and consumer could get the products with a lesser prices. So therefore, innovation further fuels boost competition in the economy. Right now, after that, in the second part of the answer, we need to address what are the policies, right? What are the policies and the initiatives undertaken by the government in order to promote the manufacturing sector? Firstly, the government has launched Make in India initiatives. We all know that this program, particularly launched by the government of India in the year 2016. So, why this program was launched? This program launched to boost manufacturing and to achieve self-reliance, so that we can reduce our import dependence on important or essential items. Because since we have been we have a huge trade deficit with countries like China, so around 110 billion trade deficit, that is huge. So therefore, Make in India program would make would establish India as a more resilient manufacturing economy. So therefore, this Make in India campaign will further boost the manufacturing in India overall. See, we also earlier have the National Manufacturing Policy. So this policy was launched in the year 2011. So the overall objective of the National Manufacturing Policy is creating 100 million employment, creating 100 million employment, and also achieving 25 percentage of India's GDP from the manufacturing sector alone. Right? So the Make in India program will give a further impetus to this policy, thereby enhancing the share of manufacturing sector in the GDP. Right? So the Make in India program will also attract foreign direct investment. Now, foreign direct investment is also very important because it results in finances, technology transfer, better managerial capacities. So therefore, Make in India program also promotes foreign direct investment into India. Now, if you wanted to mention some example, you can mention the example of a recent ban on laptop imports. So why a ban has been imposed? Because in order to improve the domestic production of laptops, a ban has been enforced. Now, after that, ease of doing business also. For example, the government has come up with single window clearance policy. So single window clearance policy is a faster clearance, faster approval for the businesses if they wanted to set up an industry in any part of the country. So therefore, it reduces red tape, policy paralysis, and it also promotes the setting up of industries at a rapid pace. Now, as part of the ease of doing business, now if you look at World Bank's ease of doing business ranking, so India has significantly improved its ranking to 63rd position in 2021. So this is a huge improvement in the ease of doing business. For example, some of the policy reforms like goods and services tax, so that has actually streamlined the taxation process in the industry, and also the insolvency and the bankruptcy code bill. So all these measures have further given a huge impetus to the manufacturing sector in India. Now, after that, the government has also been increasingly focused on infrastructure development. Right? So, infrastructure development is required for the MSME sectors to boost manufacturing. The government has already launched programs like Bharat Mala and Sagar Mala programs. Now, Bharat Mala program is envisioned to develop a highway network. Okay, so highway network across the border areas. For example, if you look at India's map, okay, so if you look at India's map, so the Bharat Mala Pariyojana is actually so this way. So it boosts the connectivity and it promotes the industry's investment. And Sagarmala program, Sagarmala is a port-led development program, port-led development program. So which they have primarily focused on port connectivity and road connectivity. Now, after that, the government has also come up with industrial corridors. Now, industrial corridors have nodes, and these nodes have all the infrastructure facilities for the development of various industries. For example, we can write about the Delhi Mumbai Industrial Corridor, and Bengaluru Chennai Industrial Corridor, and Kolkata Chennai Industrial Corridor. So, these industrial corridors also aimed to achieve the self reliance in manufacturing, and also achieve the resilient supply chains. And these industrial corridors are also aimed to link Indian economy with uh, you know uh, Asian tigers. They are known for manufacturing. Now, there was a faster development in terms of manufacturing in Southeast Asian countries. So, therefore, these industrial corridors are also aimed to link India with the countries in Southeast Asia. Now, apart from these policies, recently the government has also launched the Productive Linked Incentive Scheme. Productive Linked Incentive Scheme. So, through this Productive Linked Incentive Scheme, the 14 sectors were given incentives in terms of incremental sales. So if they achieve incremental sales, then incentives will be extended under production linked incentive scheme. For example, electronics, pharmaceutical industries. So these industries are part of the production linked incentive scheme. And the other important factor of the production linked incentive scheme is that it is also extended to the foreign direct investments into India. So when it is extended to the foreign direct investment, there is a possibility that it would further attract global manufacturers to invest in India. Now, after that, the government has also taken several measures in rising and accelerating the MSME performance. So the name of the scheme is RAM. Okay, so rising and accelerating the MSME performance program. Now, as part of this program, the government has allocated 6,000 crore. The government has allocated 6,000 crore, and this particular allocation, will further revitalize and accelerate the MSME's performance, right? So this RAMP program includes both financial and also technical assistance to MSMEs. Now, because of this ramp scheme, it the MSMEs performance will improve. The MSMEs will adopt the technology, and their quality would improve, and it also results in more and more innovation within the MSME sector. So overall, it benefits the MSME sector to move from more of an informal nature to the formal nature, and enhancing its contribution to the overall economic growth and economic development. Now, after that, MSMEs export promotion, for specifically for export promotion. So, a global trade. So, we all know that MSMEs have been contributing to 45% of total exports. So, therefore, MSMEs were given export incentives. Okay, and also further simplification of export related procedures. So, this makes export promotion with more ease, and MSMEs could easily export products without any difficulty. Now, we have written the second part of the answer as well. Now, after that, we should also write a good way forward. So, what should be the way forward, particularly for the MSME sector? Because MSME sectors have been facing problems in terms of lack of access to timely credit. So that is one of the major problem. And the second major problem is MSMEs lack the technology, and MSMEs were not being paid on time in case if it is a government procurement, and MSMEs are still in the informal sector, and MSME employees lack the skills, capacities. So therefore, in order to focus on all these aspects, we need to write a good way forward. Now, in this way forward, access to credit is also very important, not just for MSME sector, but also for any other sector. So, if there is an access to timely credit, that would result in improving its overall performance. For example, the government has launched Mudra program. Mudra program is Micro Units Development and Refinancing Agency Limited. So the Mudra Yojana provides hassle-free access to credit, and such a policy is also required by the MSME sector so that they also get hassle-free access to credit and timely credit. Now, second point is the regulatory reforms. So RBI should bring a stringent norms for NPAs. So it will help further the loan defaulters, curb the loan defaulters and motivate potential good debtors. Now in India, non-performing assets is one of the most pressing challenge and most crucial problem. And MSMEs are not free from the uh, non-performing assets. So therefore, RBI has to play a very crucial regulatory role in this regard. And promoting research and development within the MSMEs is also very important, so that so they can produce a tailor-made products and they can also enhance their adoption to innovation and efficiency. So when their efficiency has been increased, the performance will also improve over a period of time. And the last factor would be human capital. Skill development and imparting training to the MSME workers is also very important, right? Because when employees are skilled, more and more skilled, then it would directly impact the production and productivity of the MSME sectors. For a country like India, a good, efficient, and effective performance of MSMEs is very important. Right. So we have discussed all the parts in a very comprehensive manner. Now, in the conclusion, we need to write. We need to further stress on the importance of the MSME sector and also the problems they have been facing, and we need to suggest the government that there's a need for a robust policy support for the MSME sector so that they can meet all the aspirations which India has set, right? So this is how we need to conclude this answer. Now the second question in this paper is about digitization. Okay, digitalization. Now India has seen a rapid digitalization since past 8 years. So this digitalization has a spillover effects and multiplier effects on Indian economy. So we need to examine the problems faced in this regard, and we should also suggest reforms for its improvement. Okay. Now this particular question has three parts. So the first part of the question is the status of digitalization. What exactly is the status of digitalization in India? And the second part, we need to write the problems which the digitalization has been facing. And after writing this part, we need to address, or we need to suggest improvements to overcome the problems which we already discussed. Okay, so you have to address these three parts. Now in the first introduction, you can write about, you can write any data, right? So number of internet users in India, or you can also write a brief intro about India's digital transformation, India's digital journey, right? So if you look at India's past 8 years, 8 or 10 years journey in the digital transformation, it is often remarked as a very progressive and remarkable, because this transformation has resulted in adoption of smartphones in a large scale and increased internet connectivity. The government has come up with the broadband, a policy, BharatNet program. So that has further increased the internet connectivity across the country. And the government has also has given a sustained push towards the digital economy in India. So therefore, all these measures, the policy measures, as part of India's digital transformation, has in fact opened tremendous opportunities. Okay, so they have opened tremendous opportunities for economic growth across various sectors of the economy. So this is how you need to introduce this answer. Now we have introduced, and the first part of the answer is status of digitalization in the Indian economy. Now in the first part, you should write about the digital payments. So because the digital payments have seen a robust, rapid, adoption and increase in India. So it has been democratized and decentralized by the Bharat Interface for Money app. So this is in short called as BIM app. Okay, so it is a very popular because it has enabled a secure, safe, convenient peer-to-peer transactions. Right. So with any platform or with any interface, you can easily transfer and receive money. Okay, so it has made the convenient peer-to-peer transactions. Now after that, the e-governance has also facilitated by the digital transformation. Okay, so for example, the Digital India program, so that was launched by the government to improve the governance through adoption of digital technologies. So there are several such programs which have been launched. For example, if you know e pragati program. Okay, so e pragati program, digilocker program for safety of important records. So all these programs are part of the e-governance, e-governance initiative, a part of the digital overall digital transformation. So initiatives like e-visa and the digital locker system, so they have streamlined government services and they have also reduced the paperwork. So hence enhancing the overall accessibility to all individuals. Now, apart from e-governance, e-commerce has also been potentially revolutionized by the digital transformation. Now, the market access for everyone has become easy, and in fact, this has further improved competition in the economy between different e-commerce platforms. So they are coming up with more and more competitive prices. For example, there's e-commerce companies like Flipkart and Amazon. So they have expanded their overall reach. For example, during a COVID-19 pandemic alone, so this e-commerce business has further expanded rapidly. According to some data, the e-commerce companies are projected to reach around 2,200 billion by 2026. So it is a rapid growth in the e-commerce business. Now after that, the digital transformation has also benefited the startup ecosystem in India. Now how it has benefited the startup ecosystem in India is because these startups have increasingly adopting technology. For example, Ola, Zomato, Swiggy, so they have adopted the technology, the digital technologies, so to connect with the various consumers. So it has further helped in burgeoning startup ecosystem in India. So in India, the first unicorn was created in the year 2011. However, now India is home to around 110 startup unicorns. In fact, India has the third largest startup ecosystem. Okay, so the overall value of India's unicorns is around 347 billion. Right, so this is a rapid progress, and this progress has been possible by digital transformation and adoption to digital technologies. And after that, financial inclusion has also been possible. Okay, financial inclusion has also been possible by the digital transformation. So you might have heard about Jam Trinity. Okay, so this Jam Trinity has facilitated the direct benefit transfer into the individuals and reduced leakages, corruption leakages. Okay, and significant cost saving for the government. So since the launch of the Jan Dhan Yojana program, so there's a significant improvement in the bank accounts. So the number of people who have access to financial services. So thereby it has also promoted financial inclusion. However, the second part of the answer is asking about problems faced in digitalizing the economy. What are the major problems is actually faced by digitalizing the economy? So firstly, digital divide. So digital divide is one of the most crucial problem or the most crucial challenge. So not just digital divide, even we have rural urban divide. So rural urban divide means that the people in rural areas do not have access to internet as similar to the people in urban areas. So therefore the digital divide and the rural urban divide has becoming has resulting in a major problem for the digitalizing Indian economy. So, despite progress, the digital divide still persists with rural areas and even between male and female. So, if you quote the data, around 50% of India's population still not in online. Okay, they still do not have access to internet. Now, after that, there's a huge privacy concerns also. So privacy concerns means now everyone's personal data is on online. So I mean everyone's personal data is in the digital format. Now the increased cyber security threats have been focusing on extracting such financial data, personal sensitive data. So there's a huge privacy concerns as well. In fact, the government has framed the personal data protection bill. However, when the personal data protection bill is passed in the parliament, and India will have a regulatory framework, and the regulatory framework will also inhibit the overall digital transformation in the country. So therefore there is a need for balance between the privacy concerns and also the regulations for effective digital transformation. Now after that, cybersecurity is also a major problem. Along with individual privacy, cybersecurity is also a major problem because increasing digitization will also increase the risk of cyber threats and cyber attacks. Okay, cyber threats and cyber attacks. Now, if you look at some data, so India has witnessed 91 lakh cybersecurity incidents in 2022 alone. So this number has been gradually increasing over a period of time. So, for example, in 2021, this number was around 78 lakh cybersecurity incidents. So, when digitization increases, the number of cybersecurity attacks and cyber threats will also increase. So, the overall cost incurred due to data breach in India is third. Okay, so overall cost incurred due to these cyber threats and cyber attacks is around 2.32 million. Okay, 3.32 million. Now, after that, there's a huge skill gap as well when it comes to the digital transformation. Now, people do not understand, the digital processes. Even employees do not have adequate skill set to transform to the digital processes. Then that would be a huge, a problem. And people are not retrofitted to suit the existing skill requirements. So therefore, the rapid pace of technological change actually requires skilled workforce. And India has only around 42% of total workforce possesses these digital skills. So therefore, we need to focus on rapidly improving the skills of the remaining population. So therefore, it facilitates digitization, a rapid digitalization, and this can be achieved through a widespread digital literacy and upskilling among the existing workforce. Now, after that, we should also talk about the infrastructure readiness. Infrastructure readiness in terms of ensuring high-speed internet access through Bharat broadband, BharatNet program. So the broadband access need to be further expanded to all the villages, and there should be reliable digital infrastructure. Since it has remained a major challenge, particularly in the rural areas. Even though the BharatNet program has been launched not all the villages are connected with the reliable broadband. So therefore, it still remains a challenge, and we need to tackle this challenge. Now, after that disruption, okay, so digitization has also disrupting in traditional business models. So imagine e-commerce. Because of e-commerce, the conventional businesses do not have adequate demand. Okay, do not have adequate demand from the consumers. So therefore, the e-commerce, which are primarily run by the digital technologies, have disrupted the traditional business models, and they remain unemployed. So they face the problem of debt, excessive debt. So therefore, it has also created problems in the traditional business models. So therefore, it further led to the uh, you know job losses and excessive competition with the e-commerce giants, because the scale at which e-commerce giants provide discounts, concessions on products to consumers are not provided by the traditional business models. So therefore, here it comes the major challenge. Now after that, there are a number of measures required, number of measures needed to, this is the third part of the answer. So the question has also asked us to write the measures which are actually required. So the first and foremost, we talk about the broadband expansion. The government has already launched the BharatNet program. So, but through the BharatNet program, still all villages are not covered with the broadband. So therefore, the broadband need to be expanded on a mission mode in rural areas and remote areas. And for that, public-private partnerships can play a very crucial and important role. Now, after that, uh, the other measures required include digital literacy program. Now, we have discussed about digital divide. Okay, digital divide, not just digital divide, but rural urban divide and male and female digital divide in terms of access to internet. So therefore, when we promote the digital literacy programs, it in fact empower the individuals to access and utilize the digital services more effectively and efficiently. And this is where it results in more transparency in government programs. Okay, more transparency and accountability. So therefore, the government has already launched a program called Pradhan Mantri Digital Saksharta Abhiyan. So this program has to be expanded to all the rural areas, and more beneficiaries need to be covered under the Pradhan Mantri Digital Saksharta Abhiyan. Now after that, the digital protection laws have to be passed. Now earlier, the personal data protection law bill is still under the consideration of the parliament. So even if this bill is passed, it results in certain regulations. So therefore, we need to focus on protection, data protection laws along with regulations. Okay, there should be a balanced approach. So this balanced approach will help protect individuals' privacy, and it will also ensure responsible data handling organizations. Okay, so Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023. Now, so after that, we need to encourage MSMEs. Still, MSMEs are backward, so they have not adopted the digital technologies. So therefore, we need to encourage the MSMEs to adopt the digital tools or the digital technologies. So e-commerce platforms, so we can offer them training, we can offer them the relevant incentives. Okay, so it will further boost the overall competitiveness in the digital age. Now after that, the government services, the existing government programs, initiatives and infrastructure projects should continue in this regard, whether it is with respect to Pradhan Mantri Digital Saksharata Abhiyan Digital India program, or the digital identification methods like Aadhaar for seamless access. So you have addressed all three parts in this answer. Now, finally, in the conclusion, you have to write the overall significance of the digital transformation. Now, how digital transformation would actually result in achieving the goal of minimum government, okay, minimum government and maximum governance. So this is the government motto. So it results in transparency and accountability and reduced levels of corruption. So not just in the governance, but in other fields also, e-governance or digital transformation can play a very crucial role. Now, the next question, which is given in this gender studies paper through paper 3 is e-technology. Okay, so earlier question is also related to digital transformation, but this question is with respect to e-technology, how it will help farmers in production and marketing of the agricultural produce. So we need to explain it in a very detailed way. So first we need to write about the adoption of e-technology in the agriculture sector. Okay, so or you can briefly introduce e-technology helping farmers. So how e-technology exactly, how e-technology helping farmers, e-technology helps farmers. So after that you need to divide this question into two parts. Okay, so in the first part, e-technology in the help of production, farmers in the help of production, and secondly you talk about e-technology, how e-technology help farmers in marketing and production, and then write conclusion. So it would also be better if you write any any problems, any challenges, any problems or any challenges in this regard. Now, so as I have told you, you just introduced e-technology in help of farmers. Okay, e-technology in the help of farmers, right? So e-technology actually harnessing the real-time data. So it harnesses the real-time data. So and it will also help farmers in precision farming methods. So therefore, these with the help of e-technology, farmers can make well-informed choices, and it enhances productivity and expand their reach into the wider markets. And this is very important for improving the farmers' income, since 48% of our population dependent on agriculture sector alone. It is very important to make agriculture sector more productive. Okay, so when we are able to make the agriculture sector more productive, it significantly increase the incomes, okay, incomes of farmers. Now, the role of e-technology in agriculture. So firstly, it has asked about the production, so how it will help in production. So it results in efficient utilization of water. So this is the first and foremost point. So how it helps in efficient utilization of water? Through the soil moisture sensors. So these soil moisture sensors, so they fixed in the crop field, they can automatically turn on or turn off the irrigation systems, okay, based on the existing soil moisture. So therefore it can counter the declining groundwater levels, and it will also result in efficient utilization of resources like water, so which have been becoming scanty or scarce. Now after that, e-technology will also help monitoring crops. For example, farmers can deploy drones, and farmers can also use drones for spraying fertilizers, pesticides, and farmers can also deploy for the assessment of crop health. So therefore it will help in monitoring crops. So even in case of any natural calamity that destroys crops, for assessing the insurance, the extent of insurance, uh, the e-technology will also be used. Now after that, the precision agriculture. According to the Indian Council of Agricultural Research, so this data from the Indian Council of Agricultural Research says that precision farming that is particularly guided by the e-technology can increase the yields from 20% and reduce the overall input cost by up to 10%. Okay, so therefore it is a major precision agriculture through e-technology will definitely benefit the farming community. Now after that, e-technology will also result in agricultural extension services, because agricultural extension means the technology, the increased use of technology in the agriculture sector. So it facilitates access to agricultural crop information and also new seed varieties. Now when farmers have access to such new seed varieties, the seed replacement ratio will improve. Okay, so therefore farmers can transform towards the access to quality seeds. Now e-technology will also result in environmental monitoring in terms of reducing or minimizing soil erosion via real time monitoring. Now, after that, the second part of the answer is about marketing. So, how it will help in marketing of agricultural produce. So, firstly, e-commerce and better price discovery. So, it results in farmers can easily access to markets across the country. So, some buyers would come up with more attractive prices for the farm produce. So, this way, farmers can put their produce in e-commerce platforms, and farmers can also discover better prices for their produce. So, you can give some examples like electronic national agricultural market. Now, after that, the efficient supply chain management will also help farmers. So how can we manage the efficient supply chain management? So e-technology would result in properly linking agriculture, and farmers, consumers, and the scientific community, and also the buyers. So therefore, there would be a proper and efficient supply chain management. So this would reduce the food waste and improve the food safety as well. So in fact, the World Economic Forum data says that the overall food waste in India, the food waste is very high. Okay, so the post harvesting losses are very high. So because we do not have adequate mechanization, and we do not have the cold storage facilities as well. So because of these reasons, the food waste is very high. But World Economic Forum says that the efficient supply chain can reduce food waste by at least 50%. Okay, so if we use e-technology, that would reduce food waste by 50%, and it will also improve the supply chain management. Now, after that, marketing and promotion. So, through digital platforms and social media, farmers can promote their products. So they can directly find consumers, buyers, so that it will help them realize better prices for their produce. And after that, the global market access as well, because farmers would know about the prices, regular price information, whether to sell the produce or to store it in cold storages. So they will have access to international prices, international markets, regulations, tariffs, and certification. So in all these ways, e-technology will definitely help the farming community in improving the their incomes, and also make agriculture more effective and efficient. Now, in the conclusion, you need to talk about in the conclusion you need to write about the need for doubling farmers' income, as it is suggested by the Ashok Dalwai Committee. Ashok Dalwai Committee. So therefore, e-technology in the farming sector will definitely help in achieving the goal of doubling farmers' income as suggested by Ashok Dalwai Committee. So this is how you have to link this answer with the doubling farmers' income. So that gives a very good conclusion for this answer. Now, after that, the next question in this exam is in this paper is the state the objectives and measures of land reforms in India. Now, land reforms is also a very favorite topic for UPSC. In fact, in the year 2021, also UPSC asked about land reforms. That was in paper one. So, therefore, land reforms, you have to be very thorough about it. Now we need to write about the objectives and measures taken for land reforms in India. This is the first part of the answer, and the second part of the answer is we need to discuss how land ceiling policy on land holding can be considered. Okay, there is a land ceiling policy. Land ceiling policy means a particular household cannot hold more than this much amount of land. So okay, so there is a land ceiling. So if there is no land ceiling, uh, an individual can withhold any amount of land with him. So therefore it will result in concentration of wealth. Okay, it results in concentration of wealth. So therefore the land reforms focused on the equitable distribution of land and provide land to landless farmers. Now, in this respect, we need to write how land ceiling policy on land holding can be considered as an effective reform under the economic criteria. So, this is also 150-word answer. Now, in this answer, first you have to describe what exactly land reforms, right? So, land reforms have actually played a very important role in the Indian economy. How? It has enhanced the land productivity, and it has also significantly contributed in alleviating the poverty through redistribution of land ownership more equitably. So, therefore, the land has been distributed from land holding. Okay, so the people who have more land to the landless communities. So, therefore, it has also safeguarded tenant farmers from the exploitation, and it also enables landholders to boost agricultural and economic development. So this is the overall objective, this is overall introduction of the land reforms in India, right? So after independence, a series of land reforms legislations were passed by the government to promote the land reforms. Now what are the objectives of land reforms in India? So it has a certain objectives. First is redistribution of land from large owners to landless and marginal farmers. So there were several landless farmers. So after independence, now also there are several landless farmers since the because of the failure of the land reforms. So therefore, the first and foremost objective of the land reforms is redistribution of land from large landowners to landless or marginal farmers. Okay, so this will ultimately reduce the concentration of wealth as prescribed in directive principles of state policy. Okay, the state should take measures to reduce the concentration of wealth and will also promote social justice. Now, after that, it protects the rights of tenant farmers. So, whenever farmers, the tenant farmers lack rights, or there's a lack of proper legislation, then there will be exploitation of tenant farmers, right? So these land for reforms are also envisioned to protect the rights of tenant farmers and sharecroppers, because it has provided security of tenure and fair rent for them. Now third is to consolidate the fragmented land holdings. Now also the major problem in India is lack of consolidation of land holding. So still we have been facing the problem of fragmented land holdings. Now fragmented land holdings makes agricultural productivity to diminish over a period of time, and mechanization is also not possible. And after that, the abolition of intermediaries. So there were huge number of intermediaries like jamindars and local money lenders, and this particular land reforms are aimed to eliminate the intermediaries, okay, landlords and money lenders. So they used to exploit the farmers, both tenant farmers and also sharecroppers. And this also aimed to establish accurate and more updated land records. Now when there's a lack of proper land records, this create a problem. So therefore it has resulted in updation of land records. Now, the measures that have taken for land reforms in India, the first and foremost measure is Agricultural Land Sealing Off and Land Holdings Act 1960. Okay, so this is the first agricultural reform measure, and this particularly incentivize and encourage states to implement land reforms at the state level. Now, after that, the State Abolition of Intermediaries Act. So, this State Abolition of Intermediaries Act has abolished the intermediaries like jamindars, landlords, and moneylenders. So, you can give the example of Bihar, where Bihar State Legislative Assembly has come up with Bihar Jamindari Abolition Act 1948. Now, after that, the Tenancy Acts were also part of the land reforms. So, these Tenancy Acts primarily passed with the objective of protecting the rights of tenant farmers, and also sharecroppers. Okay, sharecroppers. So, through providing security of tenure. So, after that, there's also a Bombay Tenancy Agricultural Lands Act 1948. That was a law passed in Maharashtra. Now, after that, there was also a Bhudan movement. Now, we all know that the Bhudan and the Gramdan movements, okay, Bhudan and Gramdan. So, these movements were launched by Sri Acharya Vinoba Bhave. So, they are aimed at redistribution of land among the landless farmers. However, the approach was not the legislative sanction, rather, the rich and landed farmers voluntarily donating their land for the poor and landless farmers. So, it primarily aimed at social justice, building an egalitarian and equitable society at the local level. Okay. Now, after that, you have to write the second part of the answer. So, the second part of the answer is land sealing on policy, land holding, and effective reform under the economic criteria. So, how land sealing policy on land holding? So, an effective reform under the economic criteria. So, you can talk about the equitable distribution of land. So, because of the land sealing policy imposed on land holding, it has resulted in equitable distribution of land among the landless farmers. Okay, for instance, you can discuss about the examples of Kerala and West Bengal. These are only two states where land reforms were successful because of land sealings. Okay, now the equitable distribution of land has also improved access to land, and it has also enhanced the cultivation. Now, after that, you can also write increased agricultural productivity because of larger and more consolidated plots. So, they allow economies of scale, and it also resulted in efficient usage of machinery and improved farm management practices. So, these practices further gave fillip to the Green Revolution, where India has significantly improved the food grain production. Now, after that, the increased income generation. See, because of the redistribution of excess land to landless and marginalized farmers, so it has resulted in increasing incomes of those landless and marginal farmers. So it has contributed to their well-being, and it has also stimulated the rural economic growth. So that was seen in West Bengal. Now, after that, there was a reduced tenancy exploitation. Why tenancy exploitation? Because it has facilitated the security of tenure for the tenants, and the sharecroppers as well. For example, you can write about the tenancy reforms that were undertaken in Tamil Nadu, and it has reduced the exploitation, it has reduced the interference of the middlemen. Now, after that, because of the land reforms, the investment on land has substantially increased. Now, when investment increased, it also increases the productivity, the overall productivity. For example, in Punjab Land Reforms Act 1972 was passed. So, this has resulted in increased investment on land. So, because of this reason, Green Revolution was launched in the state of Punjab. So because of this investment, mechanization was possible. Modern farming techniques were also launched, and it has also resulted in boosting the agricultural output in the state of Punjab. Okay, so it has also contributed the overall prosperity of the state of Punjab. Now, in the conclusion, you need to stress on the failure of the land reforms, because still we have a many number of landless marginal farmers firstly, and secondly, land is still concentrated in the hands of landlords because they had proxies at that time. So therefore, you have to stress on the need for second generation land reforms. Okay, second generation land reforms to improve the overall agricultural productivity and to achieve the social justice, social justice and equality. So this is how you need to conclude this answer. Okay, so this is all for today, and in tomorrow lecture we will discuss a few more questions in a detailed way. Okay, so thank you.